Hey, review family, keep it high, keep it tight. It's Jay Morse Review Guy, and I'm back to bring you another video. Welcome back to another album review. Apologies that this is a bit late. This is an album that I had wanted to review all of this time since it came out, but it just kept getting pushed back due to other releases, but I finally wanted to get around and review it. It released on June 29th, if I remember correctly, and we are, of course, talking about Highest Hope by the band Florence and the Machine. So, this is probably their strongest album. Straight off the bat, I can tell you that. But it does have a little bit of shortcoming written between the lines, and it has a lot of strong suits. So, the thing that I gotta praise right off the bat is it's a 10-track affair. I should put that out there. And Florence Welch's vocals, are by far the strong point of the album. You get these very minimalistic indie pop type of instrumentals, and her vocals really complement it well. A lot of these tracks gave me a very Stevie Nicks type of Fleetwood Mac feel, probably about 80s to 90s era Fleetwood Mac, I'd say. And her vocals are definitely the most prominent and the most praiseworthy thing on this whole album. A lot of these tracks kind of run together in some form or another when it comes to the instrumental construction. You get kind of these minimalistic instrumentals that usually will consist of either piano or drum or both, or very minimalistic kind of repeating type of instrumentals where the vocals are the really focal point of the song that you are currently listening to. So you're listening to a song, and as you are, the instrumental will slowly kind of swell and progress throughout, and a lot of times will go into more of a powerful kind of chamber pop type of sounding chorus or bridge that's in between choruses, or just the final verse of the song that they end with in general. But usually the instrumental will just swell up and become a lot more powerful as the song progresses, with a semi-pattern type of feel throughout the whole album, where it starts off very minimalistic and goes through a progression throughout the entirety of the song, with Florence's vocals kind of being the thing that is commanding the track forward. And that's not to put down the kind of glistening indie pop type of instrumentals. It's just more saying that her vocals really do carry a lot of these tracks, because she has a lot of vigor, a lot of passion, a lot of emotion to her singing, especially when you get these falsetto type of vocals, when you get the harmonized vocals with herself, where she'll be singing in her normal register, which is, like I said, kind of like Stevie Nicks. If you want to compare it to another female vocalist, her range really reminds me of Stevie Nicks, and she really does have that type of feel to her overall vocalization that she conveys. But the shortcomings of this album is, like I said, a lot of the tracks, for me at least, seem to blend a little bit together. And the instrumentals, while the minimalism is appreciated and something that you can really kind of get behind fairly easily, making these songs very cute, very glitzy, very easy to listen to on the ears, with these kind of piano ballad type of indie pop tunes that swell up into these almost like chamber pop choir type of songs. The first track is entitled June, and this is a very underwhelming song in my opinion. Now, this is something I want to say, is I'm not going to put down this album at all. I'm going to be slapping it with a very high score, so don't think this is going to be a negative review. I still think this is a very good album, and their best album to date. But there are certain tracks on this album, like June, that to me seem very weak on every other front but Florence's vocals. Because the instrumentals, while I do appreciate the minimalism, I do wish there was a bit more of experimentation and a bit more kind of flavor and spice to these instrumentals. Maybe have some more instruments thrown into the mix, maybe have some more of the progression kind of come at less expectable and predictable type of time frames in these songs. But the second song, one of the singles entitled Hunger, love the track. I think that it is performed great. I really love Florence's vocals on the track. I think the instrumental goes well. I like the lyricism. I like the message that it's trying to convey, how everyone has a hunger for love, everyone has a hunger for just desire in general, and I think the track comes off as really just this glistening production, really good mixing. As usual, Florence's vocals really soar over this instrumental. I think it's a fantastic song. But the third track, South London Forever, it's another weak point, for me at least. And that's where the mixed bag type of ideology comes in, where some of these tracks to me felt a bit stronger than others and a bit more powerful than others. That being said, the lyricism on this album is fairly well made. It's well tailored and well strung, and I think that there's not really a track on the album that falls flat on the lyrical front in my eyes. Personally, I feel like, I believe Florence writes the lyrics, and if so, she does a great job. I think that she is very talented. But from what Florence and the Machine was raised on, which was this mix of indie pop and Baroque music and chamber music and mixing it all together into very beautifully constructed albums, I think that overall this is a good album. And while there are some weaker tracks, I think that there are plenty of strong ones. The final track on the album, No Choir, which is only 2 minutes and 29 seconds, actually really surprised me that it was that short compared to some of the other tracks on the album, which go over the 3-minute mark, the 4-minute mark. It is a very good closer, surprisingly. When I saw the time limit on the track, I was a bit weary that maybe it was going to end off with an instrumental or maybe be a bit weaker than the previous tracks that preceded it, but I think that this song really ends the album off on a strong note with Florence's just beautiful voice over this very kind of simple type of piano ballad. It's very straight to the point. As I said with the rest of the album, extremely minimalistic and comes across as just an extremely passionately produced and beautifully made ending to the album. It's only 10 tracks, it's 39 minutes, 57 seconds, and I overall really enjoyed this album. And like I said, even though there are some weaker tracks in my opinion, there's plenty of strong moments, and the good lyricism as well as Florence's just very emotionally passionate and just full of vigor vocals really carry all of these tracks, even the ones that I think are weak. So I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10. I think that if you are interested in listening to some soft indie type of music, if you are interested in hearing what Florence and the Machine is all about, I really think that this is a pretty good album to start with. And if you are a fan of Stevie Nicks or the work of Fleetwood Mac, or even like some songs like reminded me a bit of Elton John, the way they were made, you can go ahead and check it out as well, because I feel like the Fleetwood Mac inspiration, the Stevie Nicks impression has to be there, because this album and Florence's vocal style reminds me a lot of Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac's work. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this album, and I'll shout your channel out. Like, comment, subscribe, it helps me out a lot, and I'll talk to you guys next time. In the end screen, you can find my previous videos. I'll see you later. I'm Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.